Wewe ndio mwamuzi wa mambo. You tell we where to for talk about.
Ku ne za ku yanke shawara kan batun.
Tí o bá fẹ́ mọ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Áfíríkà.
Hitan mo ichushaka ko kivugwa.
Lọ́nkọ̀ à continent bíi
Africa, have your say.
There is a robust, multi-generational Somali community here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul in Minnesota. The last U.S. Census said 1 in 3 Somalis who live in the U.S. live here in Minnesota. The census count about 25,000, but many in the community say that number is much higher, maybe approaching 50, 60,000. I want to introduce Zuhur Ahmed, a pre-med student and a radio and TV host here in the Twin Cities. Zuhur, welcome. It's good to have you here. And Rokia Muhammad, a student at the University of Minnesota, Political Sciences and Global Studies. Good to have you here. Mukhtar Osman is an engineer, has worked with our Minnesota Department of Transportation on road projects, including a big freeway project here. Mukhtar, thanks for joining us. And Hodo Hassan as well, a student of literature psychology at the University of Minnesota. All of our guests are in their 20s.
When someone asks me, where is, who are you? How do you identify yourself? I usually say, well, Somali, because that's when you look at me, you see a Somali girl. And obviously, Minnesota is my home, so I am also an American in that sense. And so, yeah, it is complicated.
They say it. I don't really think of myself as just being particularly only Somali. We change based on where we've been. I've lived in Kenya. I feel part of me is Kenyan, part of me is Somali, part of me is American. So it's not only one identity, really. If you listen to the media and all the bad news that's out there, the shootings, the killings, you would think that there's something bad going on. But in our day-to-day interactions, I don't think that we are perceived very badly at all.
But literally the media forget about we have thousands Somali students everywhere you go. We have Somali professionals. We have people who even participate, the politician of this country. So. Yes, but also we forgot also we have a large Somali business in this state.
Well, I know that most young people, the households they come from, their parents, the conversations they have over dinner table are about the Somali politics, about going back home. We always talk about that a lot of our parents did not unpack their packs. They're still packed up. They're still ready to go because they have the memory of a united Somalia, a peaceful Somalia, a functioning Somalia. But for those of us who have no idea what that really means, like I can't imagine what a peaceful, united Somalia really means because I have not witnessed that.
The older generation maybe feel a little bit powerless because when they don't speak directly English and they have the kids feel like powerful because they speak better than their parents in English. So they are the one who's reading, they are the one who's translating, they are the one who's helping.
If we're going to talk about why Somalia was in a war for 20 whole years, let's talk about the big elephants in the room, and that's the external forces. I mean, I'm not trying to take the blame away of the Somali people, but seriously, I mean, we can't talk about politics without including the world. And the big elephants that I'm talking about is USA, former colony like the European countries, neighboring countries such as Ethiopia, Middle East. Everyone, has some sort of an interest, and it might sound like a conspiracy theory here, but it is true, and it has some sort of an interest. So if we're going to talk about the 20 years, let's talk about them too. And why they continue having their hands on the Somali politics and the Somali issue. If someone is going to tweet about, oh, those people are crazy and they're in a war for 20 years, I just want to say something about the external forces. That's all.
We should take examples from everything. I mean, there's things to be said for democracy, there's things to be said for Sharia law. We just have to come up with a system to integrate them.
A lot of young people here are very involved in the political system here, especially when we had the Obama election happening and most people came out, voted. We did outreach, things like that. But people are still interested in the Somali politics too. I think few of us would like to do something, go back and do something and not sit here and just talk about the problems.
My name is Omar Ahmed. I'm resident of St. Paul. I think Somali youth are the future of Somali community here in Minnesota, as well as our country back home. And I think, if the elderly, the politicians, the corrupted officials who brought, destruction and, to Somalia and to Somali community. If they could step out, I think we have a good future for the Somali community here.
All the duration, the first thing when they come to you, they may gonna ask you which tribe you belong to. I might say, I don't belong any tribe, I'm Somali. Oh, we know you're Somali, but tell us, that's what I meant, like we don't use it. We don't ask each other which tribe we are, or we don't discuss about that issue, and they can comment.
Would you all agree on the panel?
No.
I
No.
disagree.
No.
Disagree, really. And it does make a
I agree
difference.
somewhat, but
Yeah.
not everything that he said.
Yeah.
I think that I would argue that most people are aware of tribe. I feel like tribe have sort of, we can say that we don't have tribe loyalty. I'm not gonna die for my tribe. I think that's kind of irrelevant to me. But we are aware of tribes. Generally speaking, most people, even for those of us who have not grown up in Somalia, I left Somalia when I was really young. I grew up here in Denmark, but I'm still aware of tribe because it's something that your parents talk about. It's something that your friends' parents talk about. If I go to my friend's house, their parents are gonna ask, "Who's this girl? What's her tribe?" So we do talk about, we know tribe, but we just don't. I guess we don't have loyalty towards tribe.
Would you say it's part of your identity, though?
Particularly me, I don't. No,
No?
it's not.
No,
But
but
it's
you're
forced
aware of it.
identity. It's ascribed identity for me. I think a lot of people would look at me and sort of paint that, but I personally don't think that's part of my identity as a whole.
My name is Abdi Salam Adam. I'm a teacher with St. Paul Public Schools. I'm the Somali cultural specialist. One thing we need to realize is education is the key, so I'm really glad to have many young people who are coming up professionals and get higher degrees and also use the education well, not to divide. I have made the personal decision that this is home, and maybe one at a time I would like to go back to Somalia and build schools, but for the moment I'll be here. So thank you for the opportunity.
My name is Nima Farah, and I'm friends with all the people in the panel, actually. But I have a question and a comment. So my comment was the issue of the tribe. So I was in Somalia a year ago. I was in, the safer parts in the northern area. And when we talk about tribe, the youth growing up here, we think about it in a very superficial way. We just kind of know the general clan we're from, but we don't know it's subclan, all the way down to the family. It's like a lot to memorize. As young people, we're losing that connection, that memory that, we don't remember these things along with our language, along with the music. So I'm surprised that, part of the discussion as part of the Future of Somalia, that we did not talk about culture, music, literature, language, Somali being the endangered language because so many of us are in the diaspora. And there's so many, languages that are part of our everyday lives. I mean, when you go to Sweden, you have Swedish Somalis. You go to, there are Arab Somalis, there are Minnesotan Somalis. It's all, a lot of different things going on. And so I think that one of the things that will bring us together, if we ever go back to Somalia, because we come from so many different cultures, is that common language of Somalia and that common culture. And that is one thing that we as young people need to learn. Mm-hmm. And our parents have to be intentional about teaching us.
American by nationality, Muslim by religion, American by culture, Somali by memory, Yemeni by adoption because I was born there, and universalistic by principle. So when you see that there's various backgrounds, and with the family issue is, like our sister said, it's an evolving thing with the identity. My mom a couple months ago came to me and she was like, "Did you know James Franco is hosting the Academy Awards?" And I was like, "Are you, what? Where is that?" She never, I never thought she would be assimilated in that type of culture, but but now she's saying, "Oh, I'm excited to see guy from Spider-Man to be hosting this," and I'm like, "Oh wow!" So it's an evolving thing that it's new to us, and it's going to take a while. But and we're part of this change. And when 20, 30 years later, we're going to be our kids are going to be reading about us and how we evolved.
I can see the multi-identity, but being Somali to myself, I see it, the language, the culture, and the religion. These are the core values that hold on to who I claim to be.
I remember, and this is while we was actually in D.C., we went to a basketball game, and right before the game, the national anthem came up, and those are from the States. We got up and sang our national anthem, and that's who we are. And the British Somali youth, some of them were born in Britain, some of them grew up there, they just couldn't believe it. They were shocked that we all knew the song and that we were singing this song. And for us, it's just like it didn't mean nothing but natural. Like this was home. This is our song.
I am Danish, and but I'm also an American. So I feel like that's because of the sort of policies within our country, in these countries, sort of encourage one person to feel comfortable with having multiple identities, and others to not feel comfortable. And also when you travel outside your comfort zone, I went to actually East Africa this summer, and I learned that depending on who you meet with, you sort of change hats constantly. At one point you're European, the other point you're Minnesotan, and then at one point you're Somali, and you're so it's changing, and I think I like it better that way actually, much better.
And I think that is as good a place as any to leave it. And I want to thank you. This has really been a wonderful discussion. Zuhur, Rukia, Mukhtar, and Hodo, thank you very much for coming in, for being on the air with us internationally, and then for taking questions. Thank you all for coming as well to the UBS Forum. Thank you. This has been great.